everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 120. As always, I am one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by my two co-hosts, Jesse Cox and Alex Fasciane, the Spangler and Venkman of California.
Whoa, which one's which?
I would say Venkman is Alex, and you are Spangler.
I'll take it.
I mean, all right.
You're the science
so who does that
guy,
make
all
you?
about. I guess that makes me Stance, Ray.
Ray? Winston?
Wait, I could be Winston too. I feel like I'm more of a Ray.
You're
I could be.
definitely
I feel like
Winston.
you started the whole show, so you can't be Winston.
Yeah, there's no way.
It's true.
Are you saying our Winston is still out there? Someone who just needs a job is still out
Maybe you
there?
could be our Winston. Head to patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, and maybe you could be our Winston. Probably not, but you never know. You never know what could happen at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. It's a great website that you should go check out, because if you do, you know what? It's going to keep us putting out episodes. And that's really what this is all about, is just us being able to do this instead of getting real jobs. And that's my spiel. Back to you.
That's it. That's all you need. That's absolutely all you need. I know I promised everybody, all the listeners, we were going to be doing Geen this week. However, I've made a kind of decision to bump that 1 week so we can do October proper. I think it'll be a good long multi-parter to really give the spook of Halloween. So instead, we're going to do something a little lighter and a little bit more fun. We're going to be doing some reader stories. However, I have one question before we start, and it's for Alex.
Oh.
Alex, is your apartment haunted?
Why do you ask?
Because your girlfriend on Twitter has talked about seeing shadow people in your apartment.
Yeah, so we've been having some
Get out of town. I don't believe it for a minute. What?
we've been having some weird stuff. I don't typically, I don't want to jump to ghosts right away, because you never know.
Sure.
what it could be.
Yeah, we won't jump right to ghosts. I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing. We could always chop this out if you don't, but
Yeah, no, it's fine. So here's what's up. So this started like a couple months ago when we had this like total freak out when like somebody moved Kelly's charger from one plug to another. Like, I have my own charger, so it's not like I did it. We're the only two people who live in the house, and her charger moved from like by her bed, where it always is, to like another place in the house, plugged into another. It wasn't like she ripped it out as she walked by and it flung across the house. It was like plugged into another plug somewhere else in the house. So that was the first thing, because it's a small thing, but it was legitimate. Like, we're very honest people with each other, and it was a very inexplicable thing that was really disturbing to us. And then now I've been having like really bad insomnia. I'm sure other people are also stressed out about existing on this planet at this time. And I'm up at night and I hear sometimes I hear people talking, or like people in my house talking. And then I'll see like a little, just like a thing kind of, because I don't know if you've ever been in my apartment, like in the back half of the apartment, but maybe you have. But like I have a hallway that's basically like just like a square room that's like a door to every room in my house. And that's where we keep seeing this thing, is like in this room. And we keep hearing like a woman talking all the time. I'll hear her at 3 a.m. I'll hear her at 10 a.m. Anytime that I'm alone, and I will think that Kelly has come home from work, or I'll literally like turn off what I'm looking at or listening to, because I'm like, what? And she'll do the same thing, and it's always the same thing. And it's it's happening. I don't know what it is. It's creeping us out, but I haven't seen any sort of like, ghostly maiden who's waiting for her captain to come home or anything like that. Just seen some creepy things lately, and it's been spooking us the shit out. Coincidentally, we've been watching a lot of Nuke's Top 5s lately, which if you haven't seen, you're missing out as a Chilluminati adjacent human being out there in the world. You should go check out Nuke's Top 5. It's mostly crap, but it's great. And I think we all know I think he knows what's up to. You know what I mean? Like it's not deadly serious. It's pretty good. I like it.
That's pretty creepy, man. I mean, I'm gonna be there in a couple weeks, more or less. So maybe I'll hear some voices along with you.
I honestly hope you do, because I would love to. I hope
I do too. Yeah. I'm like really, really crossing my fingers.
I would love to like get some corroboration from like somebody who isn't from my house. You know what I mean?
That's because we got the live show coming up October 26th, everybody. And I'm going to be staying there, and I'm okay. I didn't expect a potential haunted stay, but that's like, you've got very textbook, kind of like passive, bizarre, just kind of occurrences. Again, I don't want to use the word haunting because you don't really have hard evidence, you know?
Yeah, then there's no like persona. You know what I mean? There's no like, I don't know, like a lot of people who have like family hauntings, there's like a whole fucking story around it. I wish we knew somebody like that. I would love to like
ghost of Jeffrey the Third.
Yeah, I would love to talk to somebody who we know who has like a lifelong haunting, who's like local to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd love that. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a creepy thing that's been happening for a couple weeks.
If you don't mind, we'll do an Alex update as we go. Okay.
I can't wait till you find out that it's just like a lady living in your house. I want you to know that.
That would be even worse.
Here's the thing. My house is not big enough for that type of thing. Like, like some lady living in the ceiling and drinking Cokes and shit. I live on the top floor. If she's in the ceiling, she's standing on the goddamn roof. My bill, like I can see, I can basically see from one side of my house to the other. There's no corners. There's no turning. I'm in here all the time. There's a pandemic on. I don't go anywhere. If this lady's in here, she is fucking Jack Skellington.
She's in the walls.
She can walk through walls,
stealing your stuff. Here, like ghost is the least scary option. I'm telling you, there is someone in that home, and she's like,
she's laying my children. She's laying in my couch like Danny DeVito. She's like, that's like the only thing I can. Yeah. It's the only place she could literally fit in this house.
Then one day she'll be birthed from that couch. Like Ace Ventura. Get her away. Yeah.
God, gross.
Yeah. Awful.
Dude. All right, well, keep us updated. We got some great stories. I gotta say, you guys have been leaving us so many dreams, like to interpret, more than I can interpret into a single episode. Otherwise, it's just a dream episode. We got 2 pretty decent dreams I'm ready to read for.
Do you really want to listen to dreams for an hour, folks?
That's what I'm saying.
Let us know in the subreddit. If you've never been on the subreddit,
I'll let you know. They're gonna say no.
I never, dude, that's the thing I always think people are going to say. But at the same time, maybe the audience isn't the best person to ask for what we should do next all the time.
You are absolutely correct. Yeah. All right. But we're going to start, before we get to the dreams, a couple of short, slightly creepy, spooky, ghost stories. And I'm going to hand this first story off to Jesse to start us. Yeah, you're going to be our man at the starting hour here.
Okay. Welcome to Listeners' Stories. Go!
Shit. Right? Like a crow just came in my apartment. You guys would never believe it.
Yeah, you have to have sound effects like the old witch, like you gotta have them all. The fucking sound effects. Yeah, a slide whistle. Yeah. Don't know why that would be there.
You remember doing the Men in Black episode and that guy who kept his whole room like a haunted house? Well, he lived with his dad in the upstairs floor, and he did he ran that magazine. That's what I think
Dark Shadows, the TV show.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. All right, take it away, Jesse.
This is from Click Hell Spawn.
Thanks to our longtime sponsor, Talkspace. Going to therapy and seeing a psychiatrist can be very important parts to maintaining your mental health. And just starting to go to them can also be a hurdle that's hard to get over. But meeting with a therapist to work on your mental health is just as helpful as hiring a personal trainer to work on your physical health. And the positive impact can be just as life-changing. My therapist, when I went to see her a couple of years ago when I was just first starting, actually recommended Talkspace for me to take care of the medical side of what I needed. Most importantly at Talkspace, they value your privacy and security. The app puts you in a private room with just you and your therapist. You send messages 24/7 and can get replies throughout the day. No need to wait for a weekly appointment. Talkspace's encryption and added security features keep your conversation fully protected as well. Whether we struggle with anxiety, depression, self-doubt, or anything else, Talkspace gives you access to the help you need to move forward. Facing those obstacles is not easy, and you don't win a prize for doing it all alone. Getting professional help isn't weird or weak, it's smart. Because sure, your friend might know a thing or two about electricity, but would you let him rewire your house? So don't leave your mental health to chance, or the amateur advice of well-meaning friends or family. Talk to someone who's trained to help you make lasting progress. Join Talkspace today and move forward with a single message. Just visit Talkspace.com and get $100 off your first month when you use promo code CHILL at sign up. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com. Promo code CHILL.
I've always been a skeptic, but we weaned from that viewpoint thanks to it. Oh boy. You know what? I'm going to start from the beginning. I've always been a skeptic, but have weaned from that viewpoint thanks to experiences. From first one being when I lived in a house that was well over 100 years old when we had moved in. I've always heard creaking and what sounds like footsteps, but I could easily attribute that to the house settling. What I can't contribute to is the faint conversational whispers always coming from the second story when I was on the ground floor. This could have been easily explained away, but one morning in my early teens, I was alone in my house, and on the top of my bunk bed, I heard rustling.
Oh, that would be the worst.
I brushed it off as possibly mice moving about. Yeah, we had mice. Until I heard the heavy breathing. It persisted even when I held my breath, thinking it was just me and I was crazy. But the breathing persisted, undeniably human. Second experience.
That was it. That was his first experience.
How'd that experience end?
It sounds like mine. Stopped.
It sounds like mine. It's just, it's nothing to get too excited about. You know what I mean? It's just...
What are you talking about?
Maybe there's something when you get a haunted house, Jesse, maybe like part of it, like a mosquito numbing your skin before it bites, it dulls your panic senses.
Like,
and you
where
don't
was
get
the breathing?
scared.
Like, where was the breathing? You know what I mean?
On the top bunk. I'm assuming he was in the bottom bunk.
Yes, in the bottom bunk. And then someone above you was like, and you're going to tell me.
What is that? That's not breathing. That's the opposite of breathing.
That's creepy
That's
demon
a witch
breathing.
that's dying of COVID. I don't know what that is.
That's that demon breath. That's demon breath. Yeah.
That's Zoolander working in the mines. I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's an Adam Sandler.
It's the demon breath.
That's a new horror movie.
Yeah, that's demon breath.
That would honestly be super fun. If I started hearing that while I was in the shower, I'd be out of my house naked. I'd be like that dude in Jackass when the dude falls to the ceiling and he runs like 4 blocks down. That'd be me. I wouldn't stop running until I like woke up out of like a fucking trance. I'd be like, no. It's like David Lynch. You know that fucking part where that shit comes out from behind the dumpster and that guy's like, oh, like
you're telling me this story is like I heard someone in my bunk on the top bunk, and then it's like, and so the next time there's no end to that. It wasn't like he was like, hello, and the voice was like, hello, I'm a ghost. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, but there's like there's no like, and then 3 hours later I looked and there's nothing there. Or I finally got out of bed.
I feel like if there was something there, he would be like, and then there was a headless woman up there who's breathing out of the hole in her neck.
Okay.
It's just me talking to my dog. That's how I talk to Wallace.
Me and my pal were smoking a few bowls in his at the time very old apartment basement. There was only one entrance to this basement. It was locked. We were quite stoned, but both of us saw a white orb. We both instantly laughed it off as we were pretty baked. Not long after, a soil pot we have not touched began to shake as if it was nudged. Once again, we chalked it up to us being stoned, but still freaked out, so we left the basement. We finished indulging on this.
Stoned on that you were like, I'm probably just hallucinating this. That's crazy.
Smoking a bowl of shrooms.
We finished indulging on the stairs that led to the basement, and we heard a violent crashing of what sounded like lumber and stuff violently thrown about. There was lumber kept there, I guess.
Okay.
Later, the same night, the niece of my friend that experienced this with me went to open the door that led to the basement stairwell, where we had our puff, heard the noise. She said she felt someone pull it shut. For context, as she as young, and we told her nothing about our. She is young, and we told her nothing about her experience.
And that's where it ends.
Yeah.
So that's a straight up just like that is a nuke. Story. That's a nuke's top 5 right there. Bam. It's an audio version.
Sprinkle of spook over your evening dessert.
Yep.
Yeah. Bam.
Alex, you can take the next one.
Okay. This is called Late Night Frights by Yo-Yo2312. I'm a nurse and I used to work at an aged care facility doing night shifts. It was a small facility with around 20 residents or so on the night shift. There was only one person on shift and another person who would sleep and only be woken up for repositioning of residents or emergencies. Sometimes it got a little creepy being alone in a big dark facility or walking around a corner and finding a wandering resident suddenly appear right in front of you.
Terrifying.
God, that would be the worst.
It's literally like living ghosts. But that was mostly it in terms of late night frights. We had this glass display cupboard and they would change the items on display once a month. Once there was a display of World War II memorabilia, Australia Day decorations, Christmas decorations, etc. This particular shift, there was a display of different dolls. Some of them had been knitted by the residents and others were collectibles or sentimental. And one of the dolls was very creepy looking, and every time I passed the display cabinet in the corridor on my rounds, I would shudder when I see it. The light in the display cabinet was always on in an otherwise dark corridor with only minimal light from exit signs. The doll had dark skin and native African dress and face paint with colorful beads around her neck in her braided hair. Something about it just made me uncomfortable. Being on my own, I worked myself up so much about it that I would scare myself and jump at any sound. The next time I walked past it, I decided to pull my phone out and Snapchat a video of it to my friend who also worked nights. I almost immediately got a reply snap from her saying, "Oh my God, what the fuck is that?" I replied something along the lines of, "Yeah, I know. How creepy is that doll?" She replied, "No, not the doll. What was that dark shadow behind you?" She could apparently see my reflection in the glass of the cabinet and saw something dark standing behind me.
Nope.
She said she replayed the video and saw it again. However, neither of us could go back and watch it again due to it disappearing from Snapchat. Safe to say, I turned on all the lights in the facility after that and was so freaked out. A resident had passed away in the room directly adjacent to the display cabinet the day prior. To this day, I'm not sure what it was, but she was adamant that there was something behind me and she's not one to make stuff up. If it was a resident, I'm sure she would have been able to see that from the light coming from the cabinet, and since I had just come from that direction, I would have noticed if a resident was awake. This was not the only weird experience I had while doing nights there, but I'll save those stories for another day.
Oh, a sequel.
Ooh. Little tease. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. That was good.
A shadow being is always creepy, but I think turning around and having just like a 90-year-old woman just standing there quietly staring at you. Yeah. I would jump. It
Have
would
you seen
scare
the kid dancing? And then there's like another kid behind him. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
It's just, no thanks.
Dude, it's like, it's so scary. It's like you hear this other kid laugh and there's like this kid in the darkness behind him and the kid sees the ghost. It is.
What is this?
It's like one of those ghost videos that like goes around on the internet. It is so good. Maybe I'll show it to you. Maybe I feel like we got to like react to footage at the live show. We'll see. We'll see what's up.
Yeah. All right, we've got some ideas. All right, I got this next one. This one's a dream. This one is simply titled Boardgame Trip to the Void by Loopcat. Hello, fellow Chilluminati and Chilluminati crew. I was going through the notes app on my phone just now and was reminded of a very strange and unsettling dream that I had a while back, which I feel would be perfect for a dream interpretation. For the sake of reference, I'm more or less a Jesse. I believe that statistically speaking, we probably ain't alone in the universe, but I also need concrete evidence for anything paranormal, trippy, or unexplainable.
I don't believe in gods or an type.
Yes, you are now a type. People literally call themselves Jessies. Like that's their thing.
Just like a skeptic? Is that what that is?
No,
if they call themselves a
skeptic,
you're a Jesse,
but sexy Jesse.
It's a skeptic with a certain cosmopolitan flair.
Exactly.
When they call themselves an Alex, then what are they calling themselves?
Patreon.com/Chilluminati
Okay, well on that, we'll just go back to the story.
Yeah.
But if I find myself face to face with something sparkly, glowing, bearded, or bearded white man when I die, then I guess I'll concede that religion was actually onto something. Mentioning these things because though this stream starts...
You forgot the important LOL.
LOL. Sorry, LOL. Ha ha ha.
LOL.
Mentioning these things because though this stream starts off a little goofy, it gets pretty existential by the end of it, and personal perspective is always good for dream interpretations. So without further ado, the dream starts off with me watching some kind of pro Battleship tournament. Yes, the board game.
Hell yeah.
Right? I can't...
Sick.
I've never had such a boring imagination where Battleship tournament is where I would put myself.
It's tight. What are you talking about? It's dope.
A bunch of adults are challenging some super smart kid and all getting their asses kicked. The final competitor cheated in some way, sabotaged the kid's board so that it doesn't work properly. The kid has a eureka moment and runs off to get his old, and this is in quotes, prototype board as a backup, so he doesn't lose on a technicality. This board has a move programmed into it that'll let him win. This is a very detailed dream.
What?
This is like an anime about Battleship, competitive Battleship. Right? It's like a sports anime. Yeah.
And then in parentheses it says, this move is technically in the rules and is legal, but modern boards just don't have it built in for some reason. So yeah, really goofy ass movie plot shit. The kid comes back with his board, sets it up, then realizes all of his cameras need to be readjusted. It's all being recorded and broadcasted, so there are like 3 cameras shoved up on his face in the boards. The cameras are all super bulky, but only because they're on huge rigs that keep them stationary. The rigs have all kinds of handles and gears for the positioning and focus and stuff. I noticed when the kid readjusted them, he got up to do something else, he bumped one of the cameras, messed it up again, and he didn't catch it. So I hopped on it to readjust it for him. He looked over like, man, what are you doing? But I just told him I noticed it was messed up and that I knew how to work it because my parents were photographers. And in real life, they actually are photographers, he notes. He kind of just scoffed like, yeah, all right, go ahead. I remember looking through the viewfinder and it was sort of old timey for some reason. Like it was a modern functioning camera, but for some reason it was in like grainy black and white. Not only that, but when I focused on the kid, he now looked like an older man. Not like old, but like a weathered 60 to 70 year old.
Like that dude from Dear Evan Hansen, who looks like he's about 36 years old when he's in high school somehow.
Yeah, I imagine something along those lines. He also had slight Einstein without hair vibes. Just as I started to question it, an explosion went off in the direction the camera was facing.
What?
Just as they started questioning what's going on, an explosion happens.
Oh, shit.
People started freaking out, being like, oh my God, what happened? Did you get that on camera? I didn't hear who said it, but I got the impression that it was the kid's manager or something who was only looking at it from the perspective of this would make for great footage. I told him no, I was focusing on the kid, so I tried to pan the camera up to find the explosion. Just as I did, another one went off, this time even closer. This whole thing was taking place outdoors in a small town or city. Everything was set up in an alley right next to a small parking area between buildings. Not like a rundown alley, the whole area was just actually pretty tidy and nice. My dreams are also usually very detailed, so I remember the buildings having brickwork and murals and posters and stuff. The explosions could be seen from between the buildings, but the lower buildings in the distance prevented us from seeing exactly what got hit. It was still a pretty clear view, though, in a weird way. Like the buildings were positioned perfectly for us to see what was coming. After the second explosion, we started to back up like, oh, this is going to be a problem. But weirdly, I wasn't feeling stressed out. He writes questioningly, or she writes questioningly. Only when another one landed across the street and somehow didn't kill us was I like, yeah, no, we need to leave now. Just as we all started backing up through the alley, I heard a jet flying towards us. I look up, saw it, then looked back down at where we were. Suddenly, the alleyway changed and we had apparently somehow been doing everything on top of a US tank, an M1A1 Abrams to be specific.
Remember that for your interpretation, okay, Jesse? It's an M1A1 Abrams tank.
Yeah, can you write that down while you're taking notes?
This is such a long story. I'm literally taking notes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I only had a moment to think, oh, they must be going after military targets. They're just going to hit us next probably. Weirdly, I still wasn't feeling stressed out at all. Just as I finished that thought, the jet flew super low overhead and dropped 3 bombs directly on us. I was able to watch the first one hit the tank straight on, and I remember seeing the other 2 pass just by my waist as they fell. Only in that very last second did my brain start to shift into fear mode. Everything instantly turned black, and I was just screaming at the top of my lungs. I didn't stop. I was able to look up and look around. I realized it was only black because I was staring straight down at the floor. But then I started looking around and flailing my arms in sheer panic, noticed that myself and the other objects were white. Not glowing white, but very much like a black and white FLIR looking, which is like an infrared camera. And so his dream has now transformed into a FLIR camera vision.
Is this something I should write down?
A FLIR camera is like one of those cameras, like when you're looking at somebody like bombing people in a country and they don't want it to seem like awful, is they show you the FLIR footage. So it's like,
or any UFO footage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know I don't know how to interpret that.
Okay, cool. No problem. Basically where black represented cold and white represented hot. It wasn't a clear effect either. Myself and the objects I could see were a distinct yet dull white, but there was enough inconsistency in our textures that we still had patches of darker spots all over us, if that makes any sense. Just think like a gritty texture. As I was panicking, my body still screaming as I mentally absorbed my surroundings, I realized I was in a small bathroom with the door opening to an adjacent room. I hadn't moved from that spot, but I was immediately aware that I was dead and in an afterlife. Not only that, but those two connecting rooms were all that existed for me. I also somehow instinctively knew that even though there was a door in the other room, it led to nowhere, like a hotel room and its adjoining bathroom, nothing more. The bathroom was furnished just like a bathroom. A standing shower in the left corner, a sink and mirror in the right corner in front of me, a toilet to my back left, and a cabinet to my right.
Toilet to the left, cabinet to the right, Jesse.
I'm working on it. I'm taking notes, yes.
Jesse's like sweating as he's scribbling.
Look, there's so much to this story. I don't know how I'm going to piece this together.
The other room was very much like a hotel room, but with more personalized furnishings. A large double-wide bed, nightstands with lamps and a phone, clothes and random belongings strewn about. Make sure it's strewn about, Jesse, strewn about.
Yeah.
Some plants in a very large...
Were they this person's clothes or just someone's?
This hotel room with personalized furnishings.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with it's probably their clothes would be my guess.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And I think we're still in like FLIR-topia.
We're in FLIR Vision.
Yeah.
We're in FLIR Town. Random belongings strewn about, some plants, and a very large TV stand that sprawled the majority of the wall opposite the bed. Imagine a large flat screen in the center with numerous square nooks surrounding it, each filled with various knickknacks. All of this in the monochrome tones of a void. I was still screaming. The lighting was just so strange how everything was black, but objects were marked with white. It somehow felt like there was a very weak light coming from nowhere that faintly illuminated everything. But that I was technically in the dark. Not quite like a horror movie, but something about it unnerved me greatly. Like I somehow instantly understood the circumstances, but I still have no idea where I was or if I was all alone. One of the last things I remember thinking was, is this what happened to everyone? We're each given a tiny little hotel-like set of rooms to exist in after we're dead? Honestly, that might not be too bad.
It's like the plot of a Doctor Who episode. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Black Mirror-esque in a lot of ways too. You know, you're only at a vision of the outside world as a TV. Yeah, a shitty hotel and a TV.
That hotel that you stay in every time you go to a convention in like some town that's not a major city, and you're just like, this is the same room. Why is Teen Titans and Gumball on? Like, what are there more TV shows than that? I don't know.
That's very, very. That's too true. It felt mocking in a way. Like we weren't given some grand afterlife or even just snuffed out of existence, but instead just left in an isolated cell like this, alone and afraid. As that fear kept setting in and I continued screaming, I woke up IRL and was pretty immediately awake with the feeling still fresh in my mind. Not actually screaming, thankfully. So there you have it. My board game trip to the void. If this is being read on the podcast, then submit your unbiased interpretations now because the rest of this post includes my own thoughts. It's very short. There's not much left. It's been a while since this dream occurred. Do you guys want to give your interpretation now or just want to hear the rest of this?
I think we should jump in with ours first before we...
Okay. What is your interpretation before we hear this person's final thoughts on this extremely bizarre Battleship board game nightmare?
All right. Here we go. This is... bless everyone for tolerating this because this is going to be gibberish. All right. Board games... If you're playing a board game or you're witnessing a board game, it's a symbol of competition, right? It is attempting to outdo someone at something, right? Like the base level, that's what it's about. And so the idea of this board game, this person like going really hard at the board game and trying really hard, it could either represent the author of this story or someone in this person's life being very competitive and trying to outdo them. The old man that you're like peeking through and seeing the old men in dreams notoriously are about gaining knowledge or wisdom, things like that. So an old man in a dream is like, it's like you're perhaps it's associated with the competitive nature. Is you're finding out information like a forbidden knowledge or something that will give you the advantage. An explosion is straight up just something destructive or impactful in your life. So, we could get it real deep, but maybe it's order of operations. Maybe it's like there is something in your life that you're trying to do better than someone else, and you're seeking some impactful knowledge that will help you get ahead. And the easiest thing, I had to look this one up though, but an Abrams tank signifies decision making that is defensively expressing power.
That's a tank. I mean, yeah, that's a tank.
Yeah. So then I think that also relates to the previous stuff, which is like, you're making a decision about how to like do better at something than other people, and you're seeking the ability to do that, but you're also in like a defensive position for whatever reason. But the good news is the bathroom, like when you come out the other side of all this, the bathrooms in general are about detoxifying and cleansing and, purifying your body. Basically like when you mention the toilet, right? That's pooping. That's getting rid of stuff in your body. A shower, that's like cleansing the outside of your body. So it's about purification of yourself. And then a hotel is a transitionary thing, right? No, like the idea of living at a hotel is not something you do forever.
Unless you're super rich having this dream. Unless you're like Lindsay Lohan having this dream, it means that it's transitive.
But you own property somewhere and you just have to stay at hotels. The idea of being at a hotel is you're not supposed to be there for a long time. So it's like you're like going through it. So you come out the other side in a place where you're like, I'm going to be here for a little bit, but I'm going to like get better. And then the clothes on the floor, I had to look this one up too because I have no idea what this means, but apparently it signifies losing yourself. So maybe you lost yourself, you walked in the room, there's clothes on the floor, and it's like, got to pick that shit up. I don't know. Did you lose yourself in trying to outdo someone? And in your search for the knowledge to do so, lost who you were, forced you to become defensive. And now only once you're through it all, do you see that you need to cleanse yourself of those worries and pick yourself up again and move on with your life.
Oh, shit.
Incredible. Look at that. That's $100 for that therapy session. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's put in their interpretation and we'll see how we feel. It's been a while since this dream occurred, so unfortunately, I don't remember the exact mindset I was in at the time, but the short version is that there's a ton of stress in my life due to still living with family, all of whom are very unstable and prone to verbal outbursts and abusive tendencies. Undiagnosed, unmedicated mental illness, very stressful environment, not many options in terms of leaving. Not to mention this dream occurred during the year of our plague lord 2020, which only added to the ambient stress. Suffice to say, my personal interpretation is that many of the events of this dream can be attributed to such things as daily IRL stress, or even lack thereof because I'm so used to the nonsense, the sudden and explosive nature of arguments, the constant drain of always being the only one who's calm and reasonable enough to be aware of all this, and the never-ending fear of being stuck in a soul-sucking void of an environment for the rest of my life. Or, maybe it was aliens beaming theta waves into my brain while I slept at night.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I will never rule that particular one out, and I might even be on that side with you on that
He's
one.
hoping they're out there doing it.
Yeah. He's hoping he's getting theta waves. He wants them.
God, that would be so great if you were getting theta waved. I did say this would get extremely existential by the end, right? In any case, I hope it was at least entertaining read for some of you, and if it ends up getting read in the podcast, that's pretty neat. And if any of you ever find yourself endlessly screaming in a monochrome void shortly after your parent death, just remember, just wake up.
Here's what I think. I think if you look at Battleship and you look at like what that game is, right? It's literally not a game that you play against someone else, really. Like it's a game where the decisions are made at the beginning of the game. And then you just sit next to each other and figure them out and you have no control over it. Like the decisions have already been made, like where the ships are. It's already happened. You look for them, but you don't really, you're not like going back and forth with people. And I'm going to assume that you're not a Gen Zer. I'm going to assume that you're a little older than a Gen Z, or maybe I'm just being like, maybe I'm just mapping myself onto this.
Yeah, like, I was about to say.
The vibe that I'm getting is there's someone who feels like maybe they're not supposed to be living at home just based on what they say. They say still living with my family. And if you're young,
sure,
maybe you're just living with your family and that's how it's expected to be, right? So that's what I'm going to guess. But if the person was a young genius who's winning at Battleship and then you look and it's old and it's a symbol of learning. Maybe we're hoping that the next generation is better at politics than us. And if this happened during COVID, during the pandemic, like, maybe, a game like Battleship is like a game that represents what it feels like to be in a pandemic when you can't actually have any control over the decisions that have already been made a long time ago. And you just hope your fucking ship doesn't get blown up. And then you go outside and there's bombs falling and there's so much violence in the world. You're not even afraid of the bombs. You're just getting hit by the bombs and being like, yeah, I guess we should get out of here, which, is war, is the apocalypse. It's all the stuff that's rushing towards us with a lot of like energy at this point. Right. And, like you get so desensitized by it that you just kind of check out from the world and you go into your like little hotel room of disassociation. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we all physically were for like a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true.
You
did say the dream did take place in 2020. So, I mean, that also kind of fits the theme.
Yeah, I still don't like go places like I did before. You know what I mean? Yeah, I still am like a weird hermit in my house all the time. So, I get it. I don't know if that's true. I'm not even sure I believe that that's what this dream means. But, as somebody who took English classes for a long time, that's what I think.
I like both your interpretations. They both kind of fit what the person seems to be going through.
Little media undertones, a little bit about what the media does to a situation, camera angles, whatnot.
No matter what, nothing we say is correct because the brain is like, that Battleship was 80 things that happened to you today.
Dreams aren't like omens. They're like your brain shuffling itself, I guess.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into one aspect of a dream that you can try to interpret what it is. But at the end of the day, that can mean anything because your brain is trying to process a million things. And that's just what it came up with to signify that one insane thing that you're dealing with. And that's, that's what dreams are.
Smoke them if you got them.
Yes. Oh, yup. All right. We're gonna reverse clockwise, and I'm gonna give Alex this one because I want Jesse to read the one after this.
Okay.
So this one is all you. This one's the next dream, Jesse. This one's the next dream.
Here we go.
This is a dream.
Yeah.
This next one's a dream, but I want you to read the one after that's not a dream.
Okay. So this one's Nightmarish Pop Culture by Winter Squash Man. All one word.
I know I'm supposed to focus on the breakfast aspect of Magic Spoon, but I want to shift for a minute and talk about the dinner aspect. Because out there, I know there are loads of people just like me that eat cereal for dinner because it's delicious and I am not feeling ashamed of it. Growing up, cereal is one of the best parts about being a kid. And having to give that up as you grew up because it was filled with sugar and the older you get, the more your body hates you, it wasn't all that helpful. But now, thanks to Magic Spoon, I can get that craving and stay healthy. With 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Only 140 calories a serving, and with it being keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb, Magic Spoon just does it all. You can build your own box with available flavors to build your very own custom bundle that are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and even maple waffle. All you gotta do is go to magicspoon.com/chill to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code CHILL at checkout to save yourself $5 on your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you just don't like the cereal for any reason, they're gonna refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/chill and use code CHILL to save yourself $5. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring the episode.
Just woke up. It's 3 a.m. scared to death. In my dream, my wife and I were getting hyped up for Spooky Month. She had heard about a horror movie coming to some streaming platform or other, and we decided we should watch it right away rather than wait for October. I popped some popcorn, she made some hot chocolate, and we were good to go. From here, the dream slowly changed perspective from me to the protagonist of the film. Imagine a slow zoom into the television screen, and then soon I'm no longer watching a film. I'm participating in it. The protagonist is at a party on some sort of boardwalk talking to some of her friends about plans to go out shopping the next day. She and 3 of her friends decide to leave the party and get some late night Chinese food. Things start to feel sinister. The lighting is oppressive, and shades all the partygoers so that they're difficult to make out. This is like very cinematic. The atmosphere shifts as the group heads outside the building and across the street to the restaurant. It's not as enclosed, and the street lights have a comforting glow. Once inside the restaurant, the group sits down and starts to talk about Walt Disney's Frozen Head. An elderly Korean woman is their server. The protagonist gets up from the table to go to the bathroom, and things begin to change to more sinister lighting again. In the bathroom stall, the perspective changes from third person to first person. Think Hardcore Henry. So wait, are you the protagonist?
Now, I guess now they are.
Like when you're saying the protagonist gets up from the table, is that you? You're just witnessing
the way they write it. The way they write it seems like it's almost like, they're in control of the protagonist in a weird way.
Or they're just like along for the ride inside the protagonist's vision at this point. Anyway, the fluorescent light above the stall flickers and begins to strobe the red tiled bathroom. The protagonist exits the stall and sees the server at the sink looking in the mirror. The server's head begins to completely silently change and morph. Ooh. At first, it changes to be more animalistic, goatish, monkeyish. Then horns form and wrap around from her temple and pierce her neck. The horns morph away and her head keeps on changing to more cartoonish forms. The Fallout Boy. I think they mean like Vault Boy. Felix the cat, an Oni mask, but the wounds from the horns persist and slowly leak blood down the woman's blouse. The protagonist flees the bathroom and runs to her friends. Everything seems fine as she frantically tries to explain what she's seen, but out the window, a few people are running around outside the big plate window. Her friends are concerned, but mostly think she's had too much to drink. One of her friends starts to cough, then his face begins to change. First, he looks like an old fisherman, then Denzel Washington, then Treebeard. He gets to a wound. He too gets a wound from a branch of Treebeard's face. So it is growing into his face, I guess. Everyone gets up and starts running around, including the face morphing friend. The protagonist runs out onto the street where she sees a few random people wandering around with morphing faces. One person is collapsed on the ground with their changing face in their arms, while someone tries to comfort them by holding their shoulders. The victim's face changes to spiked protrusions, which stab their comforter and themselves. Another person is hiding behind a car when the protagonist runs up asking what's going on. They start to respond, but then begin to choke as their head changes into a giraffe and they run off. The car radio is playing and there's an emergency broadcast warning people to stay indoors. The protagonist runs to a nearby park and up a hill. They can see an overrun society with people running around with all sorts of weird head morphs. There's a bus on its side with the driver's head protruding from the roof in the shape of a blue whale. People in small groups are moving through the park when the group will suddenly split up as one of them starts to change. At this point, I subconsciously seem to have integrated fully into the movie, but I hear the melody of my morning alarm and come to my senses, not in real life, but on the couch with my wife watching this movie. I start to tell her about being sucked into the movie to such an extent I felt like I was the protagonist myself. However, as I relate this, I remember the alarm going off, which causes me to wake up for real, thinking I'll be late for work. But it doesn't end there. My alarm hasn't gone off. It isn't scheduled to go off for about an hour and a half. So I roll over and go back to sleep thinking about my dream and how freaky it was, and resume the dream later on in the movie, fully integrated again.
Have you had that happen before?
Never.
I know you've never had that happen before.
Never.
Where you wake up, roll over, and you go back into the dream.
I've wanted to go back into the dream.
One time,
I had that happen before.
One time I had a great dream, and I'm going to say great. It was nasty.
We all know
I wanted back in that dream. I closed my eyes. I was like, go back to sleep, you idiot. Didn't happen. Nothing. I woke up and was like, son of a.
Were you the ghost that was having sex with Anna Nicole Smith? Were you guys lucid dreaming together?
Maybe that was me.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
I like that. I like that you gave me a maybe.
Yeah.
The protagonist is in the park in a makeshift shelter. She peers out from a slit in a board to check her surroundings. There doesn't appear to be anybody around, so she creeps out. She heads down the empty streets to an Ace Hardware store a few blocks away.
Ace Hardware.
The store seems mostly normal, but they are
just
stocked.
there.
Yeah, there you go.
Ace is the place. Help the hardware.
But they are stocked with food supplies instead of seasonal items. She browses around a bit before grabbing a double bit axe, a gallon of milk, and a baguette. I like that they're still making baguettes in the face morph world. While she's shopping, there are other customers wandering the aisle, mostly listless, but everyone avoids any sort of contact. There's an announcement over the public address system that everyone must maintain their distance and not make bodily contact or eye contact with anyone, employee or customer. Once the protagonist has gotten in line, she takes her shopping to the counter and steps well back, looking at a designated spot on what used to be the impulse buy section. Plugged in, there is a television set to a news channel showing footage of some of the transformed people, but with black bars over their eyes. The news anchor is talking about new evidence that eye contact may not be a factor at all, but recommends the public avoid any and all forms of contact and continue to avoid looking into anyone's eyes or any depictions of eyes. A bell rings behind the protagonist and she collects her shopping. As she heads toward the door, a person she hadn't noticed begins... I lost my place. Oh, shoot. As she heads toward the door, a person she hadn't noticed begins coming into the store from outside. They both look up and there's a brief moment of eye contact. The person screams, but it cuts off in a gargle as their face changes to the Swedish chef and then to a King Kong mask. The protagonist flees from the store, pawing at her own face. In the reflection of the store window, nothing appears to have changed, but behind the glass, customers and employees are frantically running anywhere else while the affected person stumbles around the store, still morphing faces. The protagonist turns away from the store and walks off. She walks by an employee, a large black guy wearing a welding mask, and headed into the store, ostensibly to remove the affected person. And then my cat jumped on my chest and I woke up. So yeah, Jesse, what the fuck does all that mean? I guess if this dream reoccurs, I'll add a third update. Thanks for reading.
All right. Who is Winter Squashman? Winter Squashman.
That's Winter Squashman.
I'm about to blow your mind. I actually know this was an easy one. I'm so amped for this. All right.
Oh, shit.
So first off, a dream. I've actually had dreams where you like watch yourself and then you're in it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of us have had that. Straight up, the idea of watching a movie. It's like, and then being in it is the idea of like, this is a self-reflection dream. This is, you are sitting there on the outside watching yourself, but you're also in it because this is you like, all right, it's time to look at me. It's time to like give myself a critical eye. And it's a symbol of what you are experiencing in your life, right? Is what you're watching. The bathroom stall bit. Anytime there's a bathroom stall in a public place, that is, you're begging for privacy, right? That is that. Here's the thing. This is the twist. This is going to be great. This is to everyone listening. This is to you too. How often in dreams do you see the face of the person that's talking with you or associating with you?
If it's not somebody that I know specifically, it's like, I can't remember who I was with. There's people that I'm like, I was with somebody who was like my friend, but I have no idea who the fuck it was. You know
right. Like you know you're with the person, but facial details in dreams are for the most part non-existent. You might know that it's Kells, for example, and be like, oh yeah, I know this person. So you attach a face to it. But in most dreams, there are no faces. It's like a blur. And the fact that you are clearly seeing faces, and this is a story about you, I posit that either A, these are the faces people are putting on for you, or B, these are the faces you're putting on for other people. And the reason why they're faces of pop culture things or animals or whatever is because those easily interpret into, this represents this and this represents this part of your life and this part of your life. And all these different things you're doing are because you are either trying to pretend to be something that you're not, or people around you might be giving you falsehoods in order to save your feelings. Or maybe you're in a bad spot where someone's like straight up lying to you and you're working through it. Like, who knows? But the idea that it is, you are in it because you're in the movie, but you're watching it. So you're recognizing that there's an issue. And the issue is that there are these people in your life or yourself that is this like, look, some days I got to pretend to be happy just to get through the day. Like that kind of thing. It's like, it's actually, for as complicated as it is, this is like an incredibly simple dream because people have this all the time. Like dreams like this where it's just crazy, but really break it down. It's actually pretty simple. And that's like, even I've had dreams like this. Oh yeah.
And for a more like holistic interpretation, that's like less about psychology and more about like, if this was a book, how about this? Okay. There's obviously some COVID overtones here, right? Like, I'm serious. Like there's like a thing like, don't make eye contact with people, stay apart from people. If you look at people in the eye, you start changing your face. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And I think, sometimes people feel oppressed. Like the same thing that makes a lot of people into sort of like anti-mask type people is a feeling that we've all felt during the last year and a half, which is that like, it's hard to ignore the parallels with things like 1984 and stuff like that it felt like especially when the government was seriously being like, do not go outside, you dumb motherfuckers, like stay the fuck inside. We can deal with this in like weeks if you just don't talk to each other. Right. Mm-hmm. And it feels, like the man is trying to stop us from having like love together, man, like interacting, you know what I mean? Like real shit. You know what I mean? Like that type of vibe.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I'm getting there. So check this out. So look, the face is changing, right? There's 2 diseases going around in America right now. Weirdly, they both seem to be affecting the same people mostly, but I don't think that's even actually true because the thing that is crazy about now is that we have the ability to, there's a lot of freedom that people have now in society, especially in America, that they didn't have before, which is the freedom to be who you actually are, right? This is a new thing for a lot of people. Like a lot of different demographics out there of people that have been having to hide who they are or pretend like there's some other way, or, weren't able to, because of social conditioning, address feelings about who they really are in their lives, right? But that's not the same thing as being able to be whatever you want to be and for the world to be whatever like you want it to be. But I think, these people with their faces changing, if you're like me, who have spent, years of school reading like 5 books a week and writing interpretive essays about them, like you're talking about a disease of identity. And there's maybe a perception in your life that there are people out there whose disease is one of losing their identity or becoming an identity that is incongruous with who they are, for some other reason. Like a lot of people will change their politics just to support their argument at the time. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Amorphous opinions and strange situations, and a society that's becoming further and further oppressed by this sort of like inability to be fine with who we actually are. Now that all these people are able to be who they are, there's a lot of other people who are like, I know exactly who I am, but now I want to live in a world where like, here's what the story is. You know what I mean? Here's what the reality is. And it doesn't matter the facts for these people anymore. And it's not just about politics. I think also like stuff like gaming, like the amount that people play video games or spend time on the internet, which I think is just kind of another type of gaming without a lot of good story writing, is like, something that people feel like they're just allowed to do instead of participating in real life. And I think like, I think that there's a lot of anxiety that comes with sort of like perceiving that. And I think that the pandemic and the way that it was to like go to the store and how you were like, so like, if that feeling of like, if somebody like takes their mask off and talks to me, I'm going to like punch them in the face. Like, if they're like, if they like try and like tell me I'm a bitch for wearing my mask or something, I will fucking kill them.
I'm always ready to fight going into a store with my mask on. I'm like, go ahead, tell me, say something.
It's a weird feeling that did not exist 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Every movie that you've ever seen does not have this feeling in it. You know what I mean? Like this is a new thing that wasn't real until recently. And I think, maybe there's something, I empathize with with that feeling. I don't know if it's real, but I empathize.
I was on the flip side, one of the things that you hear people often say when they talk about mask wearing, which I felt like maybe this is part of that dream, if we're going to go with the Alex holistic approach here. A lot of people, when they complain about children, for example, in school wearing masks, they say, well, they can't see each other's faces. How will they know if they're, smiling or sad, or they can't see their faces? And if you have a whole dream about faces, it's possible that it could be like, I can't see your face. What's underneath there? Yeah. It's an elephant, right? Like who knows? You know?
Exactly. Could be a blue whale. Could be a giraffe. Could be Denzel. You never know.
Yep.
It's honestly probably a relief for celebrities. I didn't really think about that until just now.
Oh, masking up for hiding IDs. Yeah, I think that's probably a nice little benefit.
Yeah, no one recognizes me anywhere I go now. It's crazy.
Now Daniel Radcliffe can finally wear different clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Uno reverse card this dream and say, what if it's just Memories
What if
of
it's
an
not a
alien
dream?
abduction.
What if it's real? No.
What if
what
it's
if it is?
alien visitation? Look,
Right, it was alien abduction, and you're just remembering all the experiments you've seen every time you've been scooped up, and it's your brain trying to remind you of the truth.
Bioengineering experiments.
Bioengineering, humanity crossed with blue whales and giraffes. It doesn't end there, man. It just goes even deeper.
Mathis, one time, this is here's the thing. You would say this dream is an alien abduction. One time when I was in college, and I still remember this dream, there was this girl that I used to just like have the biggest crush on. And side story, years later was like, why did you never ask me out in college? And I was like,
I didn't know.
yeah, I was so mad. Anyway, needless to say, she's married now. I hate it. Anyway, so I had this crush on this girl, and I had a dream that I was at a mall and I saw her and like ran up to go say hi. And when I turned around, she had no face. She like kept turning. Yeah. And then I got kidnapped. Like something grabbed me and pulled me into a room, and it was a bunch of Britney Spears body alien head having dudes, and they started like probing me, and I was like, "Stop, no!" And it literally was playing like Britney Spears music while the aliens were like, "Oh man,
Britney Spears body?
Yeah, Britney Spears body. This was like prime Britney Spears time. So Britney Spears, but like alien, literal gray head.
It's like Silent Hill.
Maybe you got scooped up and got milked for your scene.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with there being little Jesse aliens out there. Just,
Star Children.
Give me, like, come
fine
stop
with
by.
it. That's demented. Right. I'm fine with there being Jesse aliens.
Yeah.
They were going to body safety when the aliens
Imagine confronting that reality. Imagine confronting that reality.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Imagine a little green guy that has like your like distinct facial hair, and you're like, that's me. I'd be,
and he walks up to you with a fucking blaster like, and is like, it's time for the invasion, father. You're no longer needed.
That's worse than that. That's like worse than that. That's probably how the fucking baby would sound.
He'd be like, he'd make like little noises. Like, that's my kid, all right.
Little silver outfit with the hoop shoulders.
Mm-hmm. I'd be fine with it. If there was like 80 little Jesse aliens, I'd be fine.
80? Wow, they milked you a lot.
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously.
They milked you a lot.
Right, they did.
He's always trying to go back to sleep when he wakes up.
Yeah. The aliens fly by and Jesse's climbing onto their ship and they're just like, no, you're done. We're done
on, guys,
using
I got
you.
Some more for you.
He's like that greased up guy from Family Guy, but just for those aliens.
Call security. He's back. God damn it.
Can't catch
Come on,
me.
boys. I got more in me.
Oops, I fell down.
Please
you're gonna have to catch me.
Dude, what you're actually doing is you're pulling the Emperor's plan in Rise of Skywalker. You're building your own secret empire.
That's exactly what I've been trying to do.
Do you think all those guys look like Palpatine in that whole room?
Yeah, they all looked like Palpatine.
You think they're just like
room.
alien, like 80 Jessies? It's just like a bunch of Jessies, like cheering
they
on.
have green skin, but they're just like me.
Sure, why not? Okay, all right. Last story, Jesse.
Okay,
this one is for you. Your home is your temple. It's a place that's supposed to spark joy, warmth, comfort, and safety. And it being your own personal space, you should be able to show off what makes you, you in your home. And that's where Joybird comes in. With Joybird's selection of customizable furniture and modern home decor, it lets you bring your unique style into your space. And with summer winding down, Joybird has all the modern outdoor furniture and accessories you need to make the most of your patio hangs. As someone who lived in an apartment for 15 years of his life and finally living in a home now, I have been going buck wild making this place my own. The feel of my office is entirely different than the feel of my living room or the feel of my kitchen, each one decorated and tailor-made so that it brings a certain emotion to the surface for me. You can go and book a virtual showroom appointment to chat with a showroom stylist at Joybird from the comfort of your own home. If you're unsure where to start, Joybird's design specialists are also standing by to make your vision a reality for free. With quality craftsmanship, stain and scratch resistant fabrics, and limited lifetime warranty, Joybird furniture can handle anything your family throws at it, literally. Joybird stands by its quality and its craftsmanship. If it's not everything you hoped for, send it back. Create a space that brings you joy with Joybird. Visit joybird.com/chill and get 30% off of your purchase. That's joybird.com/chill and get 30% off of your purchase.
A mild case of cyclothymia. Cyclothymia.
Yeah, I think it's cyclothymia or cyclothymia. Yeah, I don't know.
Blue Vendetta 64. Hi, Chilluminati hosts and fellow Chilluminats. I've been enjoying the podcast for a number of years, and it's one I often reference.
Can we just say I can't believe it's been a number of years?
I know. I was just thinking that. Fuck? I didn't want to say anything. Yeah.
It's been, oh, God.
I'd like for you guys to share my story on the podcast if you feel it may be at all helpful. Helpful? This will be interesting. I'll start by saying that the following isn't meant to discredit any people or stories that many have shared in the past. I only mean for this to open up the discussion of a possible explanation that I don't believe has been touched on the podcast. Wait, what? What?
I know. That's why I saved this story for you, Jesse. I think you're going to appreciate it.
Last year, my grandmother was admitted to the hospital for COVID. Fingers crossed. During what would be 2 tumultuous weeks of uncertainty, I experienced high levels of anxiety. What was not a typical response, and the reason I share my story is what follows. I hope your grandma's okay. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, God, please.
Yeah, me too.
One night, when I was listening to music on my couch, as I do during times of depression and stress, a flash of light appeared in my peripheral vision. I turned expecting to see my computer waking or Alexa telling me someone was passing by my door. However, there was nothing. There was no apparent source. I would have thought nothing of this if only it didn't happen multiple times in those 2 weeks and not just in the living room that night. It occurred in bed before falling asleep, in the shower with lights on, even outside on a walk. It wasn't always in my peripheral, sometimes appearing directly in front. The best way I can describe it is like lens flare, but J.J. Abrams isn't there to shove it in your eye holes. Yeah, no, okay. I would also have blimps of shadow appear as well, but I don't have any spooky stories with that. These are basically dark spots in my vision, as if something or someone was in my peripheral, but nothing would be there. Seeing things wasn't my only problem. I also heard things. I have wood flooring. Home is about 10 years old now, so it's not old wood. I was about to say, so it's not old wood.
Yeah.
So sound echoes very easily and loudly, which at night can feed into one's paranoia. Several nights had me not only hearing creaking, but also voices. Are all these people at your apartment, Alex? Is that
what are you talking about?
And voices. They hearing voices.
Everyone,
and hearing footsteps.
Are they all there?
Listen, no, nobody's here. I don't know. Look, I'll try and record it if it ever happens. Like, if I'm like presence of mind to record it, I will try my fucking best. It'll probably just be
it's
me.
Finally happening to one of us. And you bought me the haunted doll, and it didn't happen to me.
Or maybe it did, and that's why you're in Texas now. Like, maybe you don't even. Maybe you got like shit.
Oh yeah.
You teleported, dude. You're not even in the same fucking place.
Yeah, where are you even at,
in a different reality.
That doll exercised you.
Shit.
Damn.
Mind blown.
One such night in bed, I would have sworn I heard the door close, accompanied with aforementioned voices. This had me so terrified that my partner, our 2 kids, and myself were in danger. I quickly told Alexa, "Wake the house."
I love that Alexa's a character in this story.
Yeah. Which turned on the lights in our living room as well as the TV. Took a few moments of silence before I braved getting out of bed to investigate. With Sting in hand, yes, that Sting, big Token fan, amazing.
Listen, you know what? I'm with you. I like
if
Sting.
It glows, get out of the house.
If it was glowing, I would be like, fuck. Oh, shit.
I would. Sorry. You're talking about the sword, not the artist.
With Sting, with famed songwriter Sting in hand.
Like a G.I. Joe of Sting.
Like a CD. I thought like Fields of Gold, was playing on.
Big Tolkien fan. And when the Lord of the Rings films were in theaters, my dad got me the Weta replica. Awesome. I got up to find... So it is like the metal one. I thought it was going to be like plastic.
Like a metal Sting.
You can fuck someone up with this Sting. Like,
yes.
This is as real as that. This might as well be the real Sting.
I got to find no one obviously inside the house. But that didn't mean no one was there. So I frantically opened every closet, verified all the windows were locked, checked the pantry, looked behind the furniture, checked the deck, looked behind the shower curtains, and checked underneath the beds. That is thorough. Finding everything in order, I crawled back into bed. Question, what did your partner and 2 kids think of this? Because I would have been like, why are you checking there? I realized shortly after that had anyone broken in, my cats would have responded by skidding somewhere to hide. My frenzied search around the entirety of the house was also not a typical response for noises. Like the light and the shadows, I would continue to hear various sounds, often muddled talking, yet not as severe as that evening. As I never experienced anything like this and really felt like I was going crazy, I scheduled an appointment with a psychiatrist. Everything suddenly stopped after 2 weeks when my grandmother succumbed to COVID. Oh, I'm so sorry. And passed away. Although my symptoms had stopped, I recognized the importance of my appointment and kept it on my schedule. It was during the meeting with the psychiatrist that we learned that I have Cyclothymia, a low-grade form of bipolar disorder. These instances were psychotic episodes where mind briefly breaks from reality. Whoa.
Yeah, it's wild.
Instances were fairly minor, so I could recognize them as not real. Others are not so fortunate. I also discovered that other random oddities in my behavior, such as completely rearranging the garage or consolidating storage for more room on my random Sunday morning, a hypomanic episode, as well as my previously diagnosed depression, are symptoms of bipolar disorder. After the diagnosis, I was prescribed meds, which have since helped a lot. I still have episodes, like a more recent one, in which I saw what could only be described visually as a floating orb of smoke that swirled around on the side of my bed. My brain immediately jumped to ghost, but as a skeptic and being aware of my condition, I know that was not the case. Thankfully, my meds help regulate my moods and anxiety, which in turn prevents these episodes from occurring more frequently. This again isn't to say this explains various sightings and experiences. There are often so many variables at play, and my story does not replace others. I want to share one possible cause of experiences. I've been hesitant to share this in the past as it's a very personal journey. Still, I feel it's important to share. Mental illness often goes undiagnosed, and if this helps someone start the process of seeking out treatment, then I think it's worth sharing. That is very true, and thank you for sharing. That is
really cool.
Agreed.
And super condolences about your grandma. That is just the fucking 100%. Worst thing.
I'm sorry.
I wonder, and this goes out, I think, to everyone. I wonder, going back to things Alex has been saying all episode, and COVID, this is a stressful time. And I am curious what that effect has on everyone, from kids to adults to grandparents to whoever, and if it does exacerbate any condition you may have. And so the fact that you had the foresight to go seek help, and then they were like, oh yeah, no, this is a thing. I wonder if that is, if things can be triggered on other people that maybe before they had nothing and now they have something. Right? Like you said, you were fine. And then like you had a 2-week period where you started seeing things. I don't know. It's worth thinking about.
What if the big like follow up to COVID is like the birth of like a new magic, and like we have to deal with like real forces of evil and demons.
That's what you think is going to happen?
I think Shadowrun is going to happen?
I didn't say I think it's going to happen. I did not say we're headed for Shadowrun.
What if all this leads? Basically, you're saying, what if all this leads to something better? Let me tell you how reality works.
Not better. Dark magic coming into the world does not sound better to me. I'm not going to be involved.
Then I'm going to let you down. Then you're not going to have dark magic. You're not going to have any magic. It's going to just be this, and then another stupid thing we all have to deal with.
Another pandemic. Yeah.
Another nonsense thing that we're just going to have to handle.
We're gonna go to war with another country over fucking water,
because that's what life is. It's just one more bullshit thing to handle after the next, and you hope you can find someone to hold your hand through the whole thing. That's life. Welcome.
Yeah, and the best we can do in absence of that is heading to patreon.com/Chilluminati pod, where you can support this show for many, many years to come until the earth goes to the water wars. And we love you very much.
Yes, we do. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're off to record a mini-sode for that very Patreon. Yeah, thank you for your stories. Drop them on the Reddit is the best place to do it. We get them there. If you're part of the Patreon Discord, there's even a place on the Discord where you can drop your personal stories. I do peruse through there every so often as well.
And the mini-sode is literally going to be here right now, right here at patreon.com, right after this, right now. You can just keep listening to it. You can imagine we were still just sitting here. It's a great time.
It's a great time. We'll see you there.
I mean, technically,
Goodbye,
we still
everybody.
are.
Bye, friends.
we are.
Not going anywhere. We're just going to sit right here and record the next thing. So, like, whatever. It's fine.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.